The Borrowed Courage. Oliver Reed tugged nervously at his second-hand blazer as he stood outside Luminous, a restaurant far beyond his normal budget. The reservation had been a stretch, but he wanted to make a good impression. In his wallet, exactly $50, the remainder of this month's discretionary budget after paying for Sophie's school field trip and the unexpected washing machine repair. "You can do this," he whispered to himself. The same words he often told his fifth-grade students when they faced challenging math problems. Teaching elementary school was his passion, but it didn't exactly make him wealthy. Inside, soft jazz played as conversations hummed beneath crystal chandeliers. Oliver gave his name to the hostess, who led him to a table where a woman in a burgundy dress sat checking her phone. "Zara?" he asked, extending his hand. "I'm Oliver." Zara Chen looked up, her dark eyes assessing him quickly before she smiled. "Nice to finally meet you. Mia has told me a lot about you." "All good things, I hope," Oliver replied, settling into his chair and trying not to wince at the prices on the menu. He should have researched this place better. "She said you're dedicated to your students and that you make a mean lasagna," Zara said, her smile warming. "She didn't mention you were handsome." Oliver felt his cheeks flush. "Well, that's a nice bonus, then." As they ordered drinks, just water for him, Oliver learned that Zara worked as a marketing executive for a cosmetics company, traveled frequently, and had recently been promoted. She spoke with passion about brand strategy and market penetration, terms that flew over his head but endeared her to him nonetheless. Her enthusiasm reminded him of his students when they finally understood fractions. "And what about you?" she asked. "Mia mentioned you teach." "Fifth grade," Oliver nodded. "Going on 8 years now. It's not glamorous, but there's nothing like seeing a kid's face light up when something clicks." "That's actually refreshing," Zara said, leaning forward slightly. "Most men I date just talk about their stock portfolios or vacation homes." Oliver laughed nervously. "Well, my portfolio consists mainly of crayon drawings, and my vacation home is a tent I set up in the backyard for Sophie and me on summer nights." When the waiter returned, Zara ordered the duck confit without hesitation. Oliver scanned the menu again, calculating desperately. The cheapest entree was still $32. "I'll have the roasted chicken." "Please," he said, hoping his voice sounded more confident than he felt. At a corner table nearby, a man in a simple gray sweater observed them over the rim of his whiskey glass. Nathaniel Hayes recognized something in Oliver, a dignity that transcended his obvious financial constraints. 3 years ago, Nathaniel had been volunteering at a community center when a young teacher had stayed late to help him organize a coding workshop for disadvantaged kids. That teacher had refused payment, saying simply, "We all do better when we all do better." Nathaniel never forgot those words or the face. As the evening progressed, Oliver found himself forgetting about the prices as he became engrossed in conversation with Zara. She wasn't what he expected. Beneath her polished exterior was a woman who laughed easily and listened intently. By dessert, he was sharing stories about Sophie's science fair project and his dreams of someday starting a summer program for kids who struggled with reading. Then the bill arrived, and reality came crashing back. Quiet observations. Nathaniel Hayes swirled the amber liquid in his glass, his attention fixed on the couple across the room. At 41, he'd built Hayes Technologies from a garage startup to a company valued at over $2 billion. Yet he still dressed modestly and dined alone most evenings. His therapist called it success isolation, the peculiar loneliness that came with wealth and recognition. He watched as the teacher, Oliver, he'd heard the hostess say, told a story that made his date laugh. There was something genuine about the man that resonated with Nathaniel. In a world of calculated networking and strategic relationships, authenticity had become precious. Zara was enjoying herself more than she had expected. After a string of disappointing dates with men who seemed more interested in impressing her than knowing her, Oliver's unpretentious charm was refreshing. When he talked about his daughter, Sophie, his eyes lit up with a pride no amount of money could buy. "She sounds wonderful," Zara said, finishing her wine. "I'd love to meet her sometime." Oliver's smile faltered slightly. She'd like that. She's always telling me I need more friends who aren't 10 years old. The waiter approached their table with the check. Nathaniel noticed Oliver's subtle shift in posture, shoulders tensing, jaw tightening. He recognized that look, the mental calculation, the quiet panic. "Excuse me," Oliver said to Zara, reaching for his wallet. "Would you mind if I just step away for a minute?" Once out of sight, Oliver pulled out his debit card and the $50 in cash. He knew the bill would be well over $60, not including tip. His stomach churned as he contemplated his options. Admit the truth to Zara, put the remainder on his nearly maxed-out credit card, or call his neighbor Patty to borrow money again. Meanwhile, Nathaniel signaled to his waiter. "James, that couple over there, what's their bill?" James checked discreetly. $112, sir." Nathaniel nodded, sliding his black card across the table. "Take care of it, please. And give this to the gentleman privately." He handed over a business card with a handwritten note on the back. Across the restaurant, Zara was checking her own phone when Oliver returned, his expression a practiced calm. He'd decided to be honest. Better to be embarrassed now than to create false expectations. "Zara," he began, "I need to tell you something." The waiter approached with perfect timing. "Mr. Reed, your bill has been settled." Oliver blinked in confusion. There must be some mistake. "I didn't—" "A gentleman took care of it," the waiter continued smoothly. "He asked me to give you this." He discreetly handed Oliver a business card. "Who was it?" Oliver asked, looking around. "He preferred to remain anonymous, sir." After the waiter left, Zara raised an eyebrow. "Secret admirer?" Oliver turned the card over in his hands. On the front, Nathaniel Hayes, founder and CEO, Hayes Technologies. On the back, handwritten, "Some people are worth investing in. Office 10 a.m. tomorrow, NH." "I don't understand," Oliver murmured, scanning the restaurant. His eyes landed on a solitary figure near the exit, a man in a gray sweater nodding subtly in his direction before disappearing out the door. As they walked out into the cool evening air, Zara slipped her arm through Oliver's. "That was unexpected." "I should have been honest with you from the start," Oliver admitted, stopping under a streetlight. "I came here tonight with exactly $50 to my name. This place was way out of my budget." Instead of disappointment, he saw admiration in her eyes. "That took courage," she said softly. Most men wouldn't admit that. Unexpected connections. The morning light streamed through the blinds of Oliver's modest apartment as he prepared Sophie's lunch. His mind kept returning to the business card burning a hole in his pocket and the curious events of last night. "Dad, you're putting jelly on my sandwich twice," Sophie observed, peering over the counter with amusement in her eyes that reminded him so much of her mother. "Sorry, Pumpkin. I'm a bit distracted." He wiped his hands on a dishcloth. "Mrs. Patel is picking you up after school for your play date, remember? I might be a little late today." "Because of your girlfriend?" Sophie teased, emphasizing the word with the dramatic flair only a 10-year-old could manage. Oliver chuckled. "She's not my girlfriend. It was one date." "But you smiled at your phone when she texted this morning," Sophie countered with impeccable logic. "That's what Lily does when she texts boys she likes." After dropping Sophie at school, Oliver found himself standing outside the gleaming glass headquarters of Hayes Technologies, dressed in his best button-down shirt and the same blazer from last night. The receptionist smiled warmly when he mentioned his name. "Mr. Hayes is expecting you," she said, directing him to the elevator. "Top floor, suite 1500. Nathaniel's office was surprisingly modest. Functional furniture, walls lined with books rather than awards, and large windows overlooking the city. The man himself stood by those windows, still in casual attire, jeans and a simple blue shirt. "Oliver Reed," Nathaniel said, turning to shake his hand. "Thank you for coming." "I should be thanking you," Oliver replied. "Though I'm still confused about why you paid for my dinner." Nathaniel gestured to a chair. 3 years ago, you stayed 4 hours after a community workshop to help me organize a coding program. You refused payment then, too." Recognition dawned on Oliver's face. "The Reading and Coding Initiative at Westside Community Center? That was you?" "Before I had the fancy building," Nathaniel nodded. "You said something that stuck with me. We all do better when we all do better. I've built my company on that philosophy. Across town, Zara sat in a marketing meeting, her attention drifting. She found herself thinking about Oliver's honesty, his passion for teaching, the way he spoke about his daughter. It was refreshing after years of calculated corporate interactions and superficial dating. Her phone vibrated with a message. "Coffee sometime this week? I promise to pick a place within my budget. Oliver." A smile tugged at her lips as she typed back. "How about dinner at my place instead? I make a decent pasta." Back at Hayes Technologies, Nathaniel explained his proposition. "We're launching an educational technology division. We need someone who understands classroom dynamics, who can bridge the gap between developers and educators." "I'm not a tech person," Oliver pointed out. "Exactly why I need you," Nathaniel countered. "We have plenty of programmers. What we lack is someone who can tell us what teachers and students actually need." Oliver's mind raced. The salary Nathaniel mentioned would change everything. No more choosing between home repairs and Sophie's extracurricular activities. Maybe even saving for her college education. "I can't leave my students mid-year," Oliver said finally. Nathaniel smiled. "I respect that. The position will still be open in June. Until then, would you consider consulting part-time? Evenings, weekends, on your schedule." As Oliver left the building, his phone chimed with Zara's response. The convergence of these unexpected opportunities left him feeling lightheaded. For the first time since his wife's death 3 years ago, the future held more promise than struggle. New beginnings, spring blossomed across the city as winter's grip finally loosened. In the 3 months since that fateful dinner, Oliver's life had transformed in ways he never anticipated. His weekend consulting work with Hayes Technologies had given him a new purpose. Twice a week after teaching, he would join development meetings where his classroom experience shaped educational software that might someday help children like his students. The additional income meant Sophie could finally take the dance classes she'd been begging for. But the most unexpected development was Zara. What began as dinner at her apartment had evolved into movie nights with Sophie, Sunday morning hikes, and long conversations that often stretched past midnight. Tonight was their official 3-month anniversary, and Oliver had planned something special. "You're sure you don't mind watching Sophie?" Oliver asked his neighbor Patty for the 3rd time. "Go!" Patty laughed, shooing him toward the door. "We're going to bake cookies and watch that new unicorn movie. We won't even notice you're gone." Zara's marketing expertise had recently caught Nathaniel's attention when she suggested improvements to the educational app's branding. Now she was consulting for Hayes Technologies as well, her innovative ideas bringing fresh perspectives to the project that had become a passion for all 3 of them. Oliver arrived at the small Italian restaurant, where they'd agreed to meet, affordable but charming, with string lights crisscrossing the outdoor patio and the smell of garlic and basil perfuming the air. Zara was already there, stunning in a simple blue dress, her hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing her cheek before sitting down. "And you look suspiciously nervous," she replied with a knowing smile. "Everything okay?" The waiter brought the wine Zara had already ordered, a detail that touched Oliver. She remembered he felt awkward ordering wine, still unsure about pronunciations and selections. "I wanted tonight to be special," Oliver admitted, reaching across the table to take her hand. "These past few months have been the happiest I've had in years." Their conversation flowed easily, as it always did, discussing everything from Sophie's upcoming science fair to Zara's decision to leave her corporate position for more meaningful consulting work. The career change had been inspired partly by Oliver's passion for his teaching and partly by Nathaniel's business philosophy of purpose over profit. "I've been thinking," Oliver said as they shared a tiramisu. "Sophie adores you and I—" He paused, gathering his courage. "I've fallen in love with you, Zara. I know it's only been 3 months, but when you know, you know." Zara's eyes glistened in the candlelight. "I love you too, Oliver. And I love Sophie. You've shown me there's more to life than climbing corporate ladders." When they returned to Oliver's apartment, they found Sophie and Patty asleep on the couch, a half-finished Disney movie playing on the TV. After Patty left, Zara helped Oliver carry Sophie to bed. Later, as they stood in his small kitchen sharing a nightcap, Zara wrapped her arms around Oliver's waist. "I've never been happier," she whispered, her lips finding his in a tender kiss that deepened with unspoken promises. The moonlight spilled through the kitchen window as their embrace grew more passionate, both of them navigating the delicate balance of desire and this new, precious love they'd found in each other's arms. Full-circle autumn painted the city in amber and crimson as leaves drifted past the windows of Hayes Educational Technology's new offices. 6 months had transformed an idea into a thriving division with Oliver at its helm. His classroom was now in capable hands. He'd accepted Nathaniel's full-time offer but still volunteered at his old school twice a month, unwilling to completely abandon the children who had given his life meaning during his darkest days. Sophie had adjusted beautifully to the changes, especially after Zara had moved into their expanded apartment 3 weeks ago. The three of them had fallen into a comfortable rhythm of family dinners, weekend adventures, and quiet evenings that felt like they had always been meant to be. Nathaniel watched from his office as Oliver demonstrated their new reading application to a group of potential investors. The teacher had become a natural advocate for their mission, his genuine passion more persuasive than any polished sales pitch. Beside him, Zara outlined the marketing strategy that would bring their tools to underserved schools first. Her corporate expertise now channeled toward impact rather than just profit. Later that evening, Nathaniel joined them at Luminous, the same restaurant where it all began. This time, Oliver made the reservation without financial anxiety, and they were seated at the best table in the house. "To new ventures?" Nathaniel proposed, raising his glass. The upcoming launch of their educational platform had attracted attention from school districts nationwide. "And to chance encounters," Zara added, her free hand entwined with Oliver's beneath the table. Oliver smiled, thinking about the nervous man who had walked into this restaurant with just $50 6 months ago. "To second chances," he said softly. After dinner, as they prepared to leave, Oliver excused himself. "Just need to take care of something." At the bar, he spoke briefly with the manager, then handed over his credit card. "I'd like to pay for that couple's dinner," he said. Gesturing toward a young man and woman seated near the window, the man clearly nervous, checking his wallet when he thought his date wasn't looking. "Would you like me to tell them who it's from?" the manager asked. Oliver shook his head. "Just tell them some things we do just to help another person." When he returned to their table, Zara was watching him with knowing eyes. "What did you just do?" she asked as they walked toward the exit. "Paying it forward," Oliver replied, slipping his arm around her waist. Outside, the autumn night was cool and clear. Nathaniel bid them good night, heading toward his car with a contentment he hadn't known before finding these unexpected friends who had become like family. As Oliver and Zara walked home, their path illuminated by streetlights, she leaned her head against his shoulder. "I was thinking," she said casually. "Sophie mentioned wanting a sibling the other day." Oliver stopped walking, turning to face her with surprised joy. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying I want everything with you," Zara replied, her eyes reflecting the starlight above. "The whole beautiful, chaotic package." Oliver pulled her close, his heart full beyond measure. "Who would have thought," he murmured against her hair, "that being too broke to pay for dinner would lead to all of this?" "It wasn't about the money," Zara said, rising on her toes to kiss him. "It was always about the heart." As they continued their walk home to Sophie and their future together, Oliver reflected on how life's most precious gifts often arrive in unexpected moments. When we have the courage to be authentic, the wisdom to recognize kindness, and the faith to believe in new beginnings.